Can everybody hear us now? I hope. Is everybody hearing us?
Did nobody hear us for the last half hour?
Oh no. What is
Now I see the live 15, 16 seconds. Okay.
Oh,
you know
well,
what?
hello,
That's my
everybody.
fault.
It's good to
I
be
think
on
it's my
warrior
fault
mode
because
tonight.
I forgot to hit the go live button.
Oh no!
Good
Oh
God, yeah.
no!
Yeah. So that
Here we
was
Oh
are.
man.
me.
Well, that was a great show. Thank you all for
Yeah, it was
joining us.
Thank
awesome.
you.
Thanks for
Thanks.
everybody
It's so nice
coming.
to meet
You missed
you.
a great
Yes. Thank you
show.
so
Oh,
much.
Yeah,
Thank you so
You
much,
know,
Warrior One Family.
this is
yeah, that
terrible.
was
Sister
I'm
Desiree.
glad
that
they.
was the best show
Yeah,
ever.
Yes.
Oh
we have to
man,
thank
I'm
Sister
glad
Thank
Desiree
you,
they
for
Pat.
heard
I
holding
saw
this
you,
so.
up.
Pat. Thank you so
This
I'm
much.
is
glad we figured it out now, not 2 hours from
Yes.
now.
oh, and
Right.
Thank
look,
you.
we've had such a great discussion before we went on air, and really now that we're on air, I mean, I'm not going to play the music again, but we were discussing the latest with Joshua Bell, and I guess what I could do is bring everybody back in again. I was saying before that we realized that we weren't live. That it's so great to have Des, Anita, and Chris and Josh here with us. And I was saying how God brings the right people into our lives at the right time. Josh and I were discussing that, and he reminded me of it. That we've only known each other for a year, but it's like we've known each other all of our lives, and that's kindred spirits, and it comes from course, Yahweh, the source of everything, and we praise him for it. So he brings people together at the right time for the right reasons. So we started off our discussion in that way, and we want to get to the latest, and he just makes me sick because he had, everybody said so many good things, but he was talking about he thanked me for the mention on the Bean Files book. um there
Yeah,
it
Bean.
is.
You know what?
Rewind.
I'm glad you brought this up, Reverend Bean. I forgot to leave an Amazon review. I didn't think about it, so I'm glad you mentioned it. I got to go back and leave my
Your
review.
reviews on the back of that book.
Well,
Uh,
I know.
but I would
It,
appreciate it. Yeah, if you do, if you leave something there, I'd greatly appreciate it. And it's really been amazing because, yes, I have people that are part of the Warrior Mode family here in broadcast that have gotten the book and they left fantastic reviews. I also got a fantastic review from independent journalist Breck Worsham, who is she appears on Fox News and other news outlets around the country, and she wrote a great and 5-star lengthy review about the book. She loves it. Um, Most people, well, all pretty much all the reviews say the people say they can't put it down. It has generated a buzz, just like the first book, Dark Force, did. And so I'm very thankful to God for that. So I don't know where this is going. I know it's headed for Bean Files 2, that I can guarantee you. And I showed a photo. I guess I should re-show it now.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
I was saying the latest incident that took place was a few mornings ago, on the morning of August 24th at 2:30 a.m. And I will show the photograph here. I looked out of one of my bedroom windows. I saw an object in the northern part of the sky. It was at a pretty high altitude, but yet I have holy discernment, and through my holy discernment, I know what something is supernatural. So I went and grabbed my little pair of binoculars that has a camera on it. It's 8 power zoom. I put it to the object, zoomed in as much as I could, and started snapping photos. Now, the interesting thing is, as I began snapping off photographs, the object started moving. It raised up in altitude and it started heading away to the north. And so, this is one of the photographs. I've done nothing to the photos except zoomed in on a few of these things. And so, this is an extraordinary photo. And as you see, it looks heart shaped. It has a pink and purple hue, the same type of color that some of these other objects that I've photographed have. Um, and I believe it to be divine, absolutely 100% divine. I believe that this is a message from God, that He does have angels with me, protecting me and watching over me. And I've said it many, many times to many people that when I go to bed, I visualize 8 giant warrior angels surrounding my bed, and I have good and peaceful sleep. And I recommend that for all of you out there as well. And if you do that, and the closer you move to God, the closer he will move to you. And then he may reveal some things like this to you, giving you blessed assurance that he is with us always and he's for us always. So no matter what happens, and I get these messages, got some today, from people that are worried about the end of the world, that are worried about all these things. I don't care about any of it. I don't care what they do. I don't care if they set the whole world on fire. It means nothing to me, because if you have that level of faith, well, then you'll know that God's with you and for you, and he'll either evacuate us out of here, or he's going to keep us blessed and covered, just like he did with Daniel in the lion's den and the men in the fiery furnace. So trade the fear for faith. Forget about the cares of the world. That'll take care of itself, because I'll guarantee you one thing. Yes. Is there a plot to destroy America and planet Earth? Yes, I believe that it is. Are those who are in the positions of power, all of them, are they sold out to the devil and these reptilian entities? Yes, I believe it 100%. You can't be in these high positions unless you are. And lastly, they think they're going to have power forever. They think they're going to live forever. They think they're going to be rich forever. They think they're going to be young forever. I got news for them. If I was you, I'd get on my knees and repent like right now, because when Yahweh's had enough of this, he's done this with many other civilizations throughout the course of history. Whether people want to believe this or not doesn't change the facts. And the facts are that he loves us so much, he doesn't want to destroy us. But then when he's pushed to where he can't be pushed anymore, we'll look out, because then he's going to bring forth swift and sudden destruction. When is that going to happen? I have no idea. People have been calling for the end of the world since the beginning of the world. They said that Jesus, which I don't believe he said this for 1 second, because it'd make him a liar. There are those of you standing here who shall not see death until the Son of Man comes back on the clouds with breath. Well, that was over 2,000 years ago. He never came back. So that has to be a lie that was made up by somebody. Otherwise, Yahshua is a liar, and I don't believe that. So men have been calling for the end of the world since the beginning. Men have been adding to it, taking away, and twisting words and adding words for their own gain, for their own purposes, for their control. So for the people who say that I am so strongly against the official narratives of all this, well, there's a reason for that. I spent many, many years in serious research. Prayer first. If you want to know the truth about something, pray first and ask God to lead you to the truth. Then he'll reveal it to you, okay? So there's nobody in this world that could tell me, none of these world leaders especially, it's this: if they told me the sky was blue, I'd have to go out and look for myself, because I wouldn't take their word for it. I live under Psalm 146:3. I trust in God always. And I'll guarantee you one thing: I'd bet every penny that I have, and I'm not a betting man, but I'd bet every penny that I have that the real Yahshua would have said that very thing. He would have said that very thing. Trust in the one who has created us all. Trust in him. He'll guide you. And did he choose him to be the Melchizedek, the high priest? Absolutely. I believe that. However, he would have endlessly, just like we do, give praise and thanks to our glorious God. So that's the end. I'll step off the soapbox now. And that's the end of that little tirade. But what brought that in is the messages that are, look, I know people are upset. And I know that, especially in America, people are so fatigued with all the high prices, and whether that's groceries or gas or, all these calamities taking place, and the lies, and, all the garbage that is in our news feed and that's all by design, by the way, to lower the frequency and vibration in people. So I sympathize with all of you, and I'm not being crass, and I'm not being thoughtless or heartless on this. But what I'm saying to you, listen to what I'm saying to you. Forget it. And you're not going to sway anybody either. So if you stand on the corner and preach and tell people they better repent, and people's going to laugh at you. Or you could be physically attacked. So be wise, be careful. You could share your faith with people, but you're not going to break through by pounding it on people, or by staying on a street corner, or by screaming it out all over social media. It is not effective. It drives people away. Believe me, I tried all this before for many years. It doesn't work. It's not effective. people have to come to God on their own. So it's about planting seeds with people. So again, I sympathize with those of you that are sending me those kind of messages, but I'm urging you, forget about the cares of the world, focus on God, and then you'll be under the blessings of Deuteronomy 28. You will have divine and holy discernment, and you will also have the protection of Psalm 91. So this has been a paid public broadcast message here, and we'll end this and we'll
Great
go.
show, everyone. Thanks for coming.
All right. So with that, Des, I'll give you the first question for Josh.
Okay.
He's still
Well, that was
stunned at everything that I was saying.
I was
You were in
digesting. That
trance.
was a lot to, that was a lot to digest.
one
And
back.
yeah, I was like, okay, awesome. I'm so happy. Bless, peace and blessings, and shalom. Joshua, I was just going over and reading and some of your highlights, and I was curious as you're going through and writing in your new book, how do you, in your investigations, how do you distinguish what is real or like what is like supernatural versus what is natural? What do you use to discern?
So that is an excellent question, and I'm not sure you're going to like this answer because few people do, but I'm going to be very honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
I have serious doubts about things. I'm one of the biggest skeptics in the world. I don't know that I believe aliens come here in UFOs. I don't know that I believe that Bigfoot exists. I don't know that ghosts exist, but I believe the stories. I believe the experiences. I've seen things and experienced things myself on a very limited level. And so I approach these things as a paradox. Yes, there are going to be people out there that lie for attention or for money or fame or just make things up just to be funny. So you can't believe everything. But I'm believe in humanity and the kindness and if people want to lie, oh well. If they want to make money by lying, oh well. I believe the people. I believe the stories. I don't always know how to interpret those things, but that's how I approach things. That's how I research things. My book is almost entirely based off of documents that I found, articles from journals and newspapers and other books. That's how I came to meet Reverend Bean. Was I read his books and I included his stories in my book as well. So I believe in the experience. I believe what people say, and that's how I approach it. I approach it as an experience that real people really happened.
That's good. Thank you.
No problem. It's a weird answer.
I thank you for including me in your writings, and I had no idea. Josh says we've known each other for a year, but he's really known of me for a long time, and he's written about me and he's read my books and my story. So we didn't know each other, but he knew all about me and my story.
It's funny. I don't remember how I first discovered your first book, but I bought it immediately off of lulu.com, I believe. And I was following, and at the time you were on a few podcasts and whatnot. And every time I'd see that, Bill Bean was going to be on a podcast, I'd make sure to listen. And I remember when your very first appearance on Coast to Coast, which I think I might have referenced in my book. And I remember when your second book came out. So I've been following your story for a long time. I'm going to be honest, there's a few books in the middle there I still haven't read yet because I sort of took a break from this stuff to have a family and do other things in life, and I've just come back to it recently.
He's a school teacher, Anita.
Oh,
Anita was a school teacher too.
Okay, I work at a school. I'm not actually a teacher. People make that mistake a lot, and I don't want to take anything away from teachers because their job is harder than mine, but I do work at a school, yes. So were you a teacher, Anita? Or?
Yeah, I was an art teacher, and then I taught night school for like 25 years. And then I went into the commercial field after about 5 years of like teaching pretty much on a part-time basis. And when I didn't get a full-time position, I just knew I had to, I didn't have any prospects of full-time. So then I was asked to join a commercial group, and that really led me to the photo restoration that I've been doing for over 45 years. So that was like actually God directed me in a way. Like I didn't know what I wanted to do. I thought, well, teaching was supposed to be my thing, but I still did night school, and I also did private tutoring for people getting their portfolios ready for art school. So I used to have students come to my house, and I have a big backyard. We used to have students set up their easels and paint in the backyard. So I've done a lot of different things. I've gone into many different alliterations of, between teaching, lecturing on my own, about historical subjects, a lot about the kind of art restoration work that I do for genealogical societies, and then just take it from there, and then doing a lot of the graphic and freelance work, which I love to do in restoration.
And look at that beautiful painting behind her.
Yeah, that's a painting from the West Coast that I did for my parents years ago. And but my main thing was a lot about Native American. I've been out west so many times, and studying and painting the Native Americans. And my dad loved the West. He painted a lot of. He went out west many times to visit friends with my mom, and he painted. I come from a long line of artists, and my great grandfather was a sculptor. So it's like, it's in the blood. So
I was going to say, it sounds like Chris has inherited that as well.
We're going to get to Chris here. We're going to, and that leads us right into Chris. And I wanted to share something. When I first met Anita and Chris, I went into his room and I saw these figurines, and I thought, wow, it's just amazing. And he told me that, he made these things, he paints them and all that stuff. I can't even draw a stick figure. That's not my skill set. And so I really admired that. And I thought, wow, that must take so much patience and attention to detail and things of that nature. And so I was really impressed with that. And now they have this flourishing business that's, enter the realm there in the Philly area. And I remember when they first started that store, when they first put it all together, and it's amazing how they've made this a thriving business now. And it is through both of their skills, and they work together, and they work in different capacities, but then join together for certain tasks at certain times. It's just amazing, and it really works. So Chris, I'm going to show, I tried to download 3 of the photos, but it only downloaded 2 for some reason. But this is.
So how long have you had the store?
It's going on, what, 13 years?
13 years.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. The way he was talking, I thought maybe it was new.
Oh, no. I remember we've known each other for a while, and I remember, from the very beginning of this. Now, Chris, give us a little description of this.
That's like a back one of those. I don't know if you have. I think I tried to send.
Yeah, we're going to show the front.
Yeah, that's just a back view of that. You can see the crystals on the base and everything there. That's not a bad shot either. So I had a customer came in with a very unique commission this time around. I've done some work for him in the past, but he brought in a set that included these 3 elves that are riding on dinosaurs, and then they also include these 2 little baby dinosaurs. I guess they're like supposed to be like markers for the game or however they use them. But there's in the set there's a couple different like poses that the riders are on, but the dinosaurs are mostly the same. That they're all and he picked out the color scheme that he wanted. He wanted red dinosaurs with white underbellies. He wanted a green and white color scheme on top with some gold accent. But then when he got to the bases, he wanted these most elaborate bases that I've pretty much have done in a long time. I mean, I've done some stuff in the past, but he wanted like a jungle setting that you see there with crystals and rocks, and there's some leaves that you could see they're sticking off the end.
So this would be like a medieval type of setting, right, Chris?
Yeah, it's a very fantasy setting, just as fantasy as you can get, like fantastical setting. For this particular one, since I don't know why dinosaurs would be in the future as opposed to going back in the past, but this is supposed to be the setting for this game that he had me do these figures is supposed to be 40,000 years after currently our time. So I don't know why 40,000 years in the future we're going back to dinosaurs, but that's incorporated in the setting. I mean, they have all kinds of crazy things in the stuff, but I mean, there's the one, the baby ones.
Yeah.
So as you can see, like there's some the leaves and just the stuff. There's the crystal that's in the back there. But I'm gonna have these all up on our Facebook page too when I get that far. Right now I'm showing.
Send your and when you do that next week, send that link for the Facebook page, and we'll put that in the chat here so people can go and look at that.
What's the name of the Facebook page?
So the Facebook page is Miniature Men. That's our gallery page on Facebook, and then our store page is just Enter the Realm is up on Facebook.
I have to check you
About
guys
Miniature
out.
Men, we update that almost daily with stuff that gets painted at the shop, so you can see what we're working on. So right now, this week we've been posting up, and it's going to be for the next couple weeks. Another client had me do a bunch of these other army stuff, so you're getting to see some of that for the next few weeks, and then we'll eventually get to these dinosaurs. So you're almost seeing like a sneak peek that's going to be coming up. These ones I just finished probably won't get posted till probably in September or even October, because we work way ahead, so we're not like literally painting and then posting it. So we work a couple weeks ahead to where I paint the stuff, get the photos done, and then we put them up on the page. So we have like each week is scheduled down to the detail of, all right, this week we're posting these guys, and then it's this, and then it's for this game and for that game, and however we're doing it. So each month is kind of like a theme, and that's 4 different parts of that game or whatever we're trying to do. But then I tell people, I was like, if you want to be posted up on there too, that if you've done stuff like, sometimes I get a little bit burned out. Maybe I don't have something to post for the week, but I have enough stuff that I could post for years. But I mean, we do so much stuff at the shop. But like I always tell people, I was like, hey, I could throw you in for a week. I could delay my stuff for a week if you have some stuff that you thought was pretty neat that you got done, and you want to show it off on the page. We don't frown upon that, because it's all for the community page. But it wound up with just solely me. It winds up doing it because I have the most, I ask people and they're like, no, I didn't get anything painted or whatever. Like you just do you. And I was like, well, that's fine. I got enough that I could post.
Yeah.
And then it just wound up.
It's amazing. It really is. I admire his gifts, and both of them. I admire the artistic gifts. It's really incredible. And so Des, why don't you take a question here and ask Josh about his book and his writings and his findings, and say, because the stories are fascinating out of that book. And is there anything new, Josh, that you could share with Des and us? Any recent cases since the book?
So, I'm sure there is, but you're putting me on the spot.
That's all right.
That's okay. I had sent you some pictures, and I do want to discuss those. Those aren't necessarily new, but you and I have never talked about it before. And I'm glad that Anita's here. So could I talk about that? Or
sure, let's go into that right now. Well, and that Des, after he's done with that, you come back with a question for him. This is a good time to go into that.
Sure. I'm sorry. I'm sure there's things that are going on, but I can't think of anything at the moment. I'm on the spot. So a quick little bit of background. So the book came out about a year ago. It kind of evolved naturally, as Reverend Beaton said before. Sometimes things happen for reasons, and things don't always happen the way you plan them, the way Anita was talking about her career as an educator. I never intended to write a book. I was fascinated by this stuff, but I was sort of a basement researcher. I just read and took notes and collected things and clippings and files. I never intended to write a book. And then something really odd happened to me about a year and a half ago. So I had joined a local history museum, and I went to an event one night, and I walk in and I sit down, and they're like talking about all the serious stuff, and we're like this back room, and it's really uncomfortable and really odd. And what's really weird about it is this very kind woman lets me in. As soon as I walk in, this gentleman's like, "Hey, I'm so glad you could make it. You're finally here." And I'm like, "I've never met you before in my life." And he's like, No, we talk all the time. I've been trying to get you to come. And I'm like, "No, sorry, we've never met." And then 2 other people were like, yeah, we know you from somewhere. And I'm like, "No, I've never met you people before. This is my first time here." And then another person walks into the room at one point, and he's like, "Hey, I know you from somewhere." Now, the ironic thing is there was one person in the room that I found out a while later that I did know from years ago, but I knew nobody else there. And it was just odd that all these people seemed to know me. I kind of hinted at this in the book, but I've never told this story publicly before. Long story short, I had accidentally crashed a board meeting. I wasn't there the right night. I was there for a historical lecture, and instead I crashed the museum's board meeting. But I had become a member of the museum, and they were very kind for letting me crash their meeting. In fact, I sat there the rest of the meeting that night. And so I started going back. And very shortly after that, I had just moved to the area, and so I started a Facebook page where I started sharing some of the cool, weird stuff I found about the area, and they asked me to come speak there. And I did. And one thing led to another. I was asked to speak somewhere else, and I realized, hey, people actually care about this weird stuff that I've been reading about all these years. And so I kind of decided to put it together in a book. The museum itself, ironically, where all this happened, has a long history of being haunted. The museum is 100 years old. It was originally a police station, a fire station, a courthouse. The museum, it's the Heritage Society of Essex and Middle River Museum, and they've been there since the 70s. And they have the original jail cells are still there, and you can tour them. And I've had a weird experience there with some camera malfunctions and a weird photo. I'm not going to say that it was a ghost, but something weird happened to me there. People have seen ghosts in the building. There's all these stories back in the 70s. At one point, some police officers that were on patrol heard organ music coming from the museum. And ironically, there is an organ in the museum, but it has no inside parts. It physically cannot make sound, yet people heard it making sounds. And there's just all these weird stories like that. Well, the most famous artifact at this museum, it's called the Moaning Man. And the story is, it's a small wood sculpture of a man. It's a little over a foot high, I'd say. I'm not sure exactly, but people have heard the statue moan. And I've spoken to one personally, and he's a very down-to-earth guy. He's actually the historian there at the museum, and he admits he was there late one night. He heard what sounded like a moan or a sigh, and he looked over, and it came from the same part of the room that the statue was in. I found an old article from the 1980s, so I know a little bit about the history of this object, and I don't know if you want me to tell the history first. I had sent some pictures ahead, and Anita had some insight, and I think she's really on target. So do we want to maybe ask her what her thoughts are, and then we'll get into what I know, or how do we want to do it?
Well, give a little history on it, and then we'll get Anita's feedback from there.
Sure. So the history is that the Smithsonian analyzed this thing at some point, but as I was saying earlier in the pre-show, the documents, the facts about that assessment aren't around. All I keep finding is stories, and the stories contradict themselves. In fact, the thing was supposedly found when some construction was going on near the water. I'm not even sure if it took place, if it was found in the water or in the mud or just on the property where they were working. But the stories are so convoluted that the signs in the museum say it happened on an area called the Back River, but the article from the newspaper say it was actually found on the Middle River, which is the sort of the centerpiece of my book. But the story is that they were doing some construction. They found this thing. The people doing the construction handed it over to the homeowners. They took it into their house, and the wife that lived there started hearing these knocking sounds at night. And this is something we hear a lot when it comes to supernatural phenomena, poltergeist stuff. And she was like, "Get this thing out of my house. I want it out of here." And so they donated it.
Choice.
They gave it. Now, I'm a little uncertain about the timeline because I'm not sure if the police station was still there at the time, but it was given to the police station, I heard from one person. And when the museum, the Heritage Society, took over, they gave it to them. It was the first artifact in the museum. Some of the stories say that there was still an operating courthouse in the building, and where it was located, people on the other side of the wall would hear these knocking sounds, which is really interesting because the signage in the museum today says nothing about this knocking stuff. It's all about this thing moaning. But when you look at the historical articles, at one point, the knocking was so, it wasn't just a sound, it was so physical, it was knocking things off the wall on the other side of the wall. And that was on the courthouse side. At one point, something actually fell off and hit one of the police officers on the other side of the wall. Supposedly, some people think that maybe it was originally a child's toy. Some people speculated that it was carved as a sailor did it in their free time, just sort of bored. Some people have said that they thought it was Masonic because the figure might be wearing an apron. Some people suggested that its haircut could be a turban. There are pieces missing of the figure, but nobody really truly knows the whole backstory behind the Moaning Man statue. I'm going to pull up a picture. I don't know if you have one to show, but I can hold it up. This is the face of the thing we're talking about. So that's what's in my book. That's what I know, or what I think I know about the thing. I knew I was going to be on tonight with Anita, and I was reading her book, A State of Horror, which I've been wanting to read for a long time, and I apologize, I'm still not finished. But yeah, I didn't realize, I knew the basic backstory, but I didn't realize your background. And when I was reading about you and Chris going through, and you can talk more about the book because you can do it better than I did, when you're going through your friend's stuff and you were able to identify all these strange artifacts like that, and right away I'm like, I need to send some pictures to Reverend Bean. We need to talk about this when I'm on the show. So that's what I did. I sent photos of the Mooning Man statue that I took last year. He forwarded them on to you. We talked a little bit about this before the show, and you had some really interesting insight, and I'd like to hear more because we kind of got cut off. So let's talk about it.
Well, when I saw the pictures, the weathering, that struck me right away, how badly weathered it was. And I thought, well, this has been outside, and thinking could have been like some type of figurehead, something that somebody would had outside as a carving. But then being a figure, I put it with his outfit only because this is the way I identify dolls for people, because if they don't have a costume, or if they are wearing something maybe originally, I could date it to a certain time. And by seeing the carving, first of all, it is I think it's folk culture carved, because it's not finely carved. It's more very like a little cruder, but yet the details are really very, very prominent, as far as the bow tie, the way the coat is, and the vest. And I would put it about 1850s, in that range. And also the hairstyle, I don't see any type of turban. The hair is very much almost like a little bit of a bowl cut or short crop cut, and that also would date it to like the early 18, like to say maybe between the 30s and the 1850s, because that's what the haircut, they kind of wore that. The face, either the eyes had been inset with something, or they've been gouged out for some type of a ritual, that maybe somebody didn't like the eyes. And that seems to spook people a lot with even dolls that I'll appraise. People don't like doll eyes, and people are really afraid of dolls, and there's a phobia for that people have either you love dolls or you hate dolls. I don't think it was a toy at any point, because being 12 inches high, I think a child would be really afraid of it to see the way that, because it doesn't
anything that looks like that. Yeah.
Features. I mean, I wouldn't bring that in my house.
No way.
It's either, as I said, if it was found in the mud or in the water, it's probably, I don't think it's pine. I think it's probably an oak. And that's what, it's funny that you said about a sailor, because I was thinking, could it possibly been a sailor on a ship, and he's whittling during his time, thinking that, I'm carving maybe something that looks like my child who's back at port. It's too small to be a figurehead to be in front of a ship. But it's funny that, because I thought of that too, about being a sailor. Well, scrimshaw is what they use for whale teeth, or a walrus tusk. But sometimes if they have scrap wood, they'll be whittling something because to pass the time, and they'll make something back for their sweethearts. You'll see a lot of not tramp art, but the kind of art that you see in the early 1800s during whaling ventures, that people are on the seas for months and months at a time. So they're making things to bring back as a gift. But yeah, it's a very strange looking object. The face, the nose is really strange. It's very blocky, the nose. I don't know if it's
I think it's broken off, or I think that's damage.
Repair it, But the eyes, or where the eyes were, it's that really impressed me right away. Is like they look like they've been gouged out, or something was coming out. Either they had eyes inset in it at some point. It might have been glass eyes, and that would date it probably to the 1850s, 60s, because that's when glass eyes start coming into vogue, and they put them in dolls' eyes and things like that. But yeah, that's definitely a folk piece, and and because it's strange looking, like I could see where there would be tales about being haunted, because nothing gets me more upset the way Hollywood has presented dolls across the board, because you could date it from the 1960s with Twilight Zone doing things about dummies, the ventriloquist dolls coming to life and going after their their masters if they didn't treat them right, or dolls that are talking, like the Chatty Cathy types of dolls. But it definitely, is that what's in the museum?
Mm-hmm.
He's got his arms missing.
I have
he has a picture of
the full statue.
That's it.
Yeah. So
he has no arms and no feet.
Oh, that's stuff. Oh, then you know what? That's even earlier than I was thinking, because of that. If that's his long coat,
he has a long coat.
Yeah, that's about 1830s.
He looks almost like a ventriloquist dummy.
No, it's some type of Now somebody carved that with the trouser. It might be a little earlier than 1830. Okay,
it says circa
1830. Okay, I said between 1830 and 1850.
Yeah.
With that, with just
that's one of the stories is 1830. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, and the waistcoat that would put him in that time period. Yeah, with the bow. Yeah, in 1830s when they start wearing bow ties. So
the eyes are gouged out.
Oh, okay. Okay.
It just doesn't give me a good feeling at all, and the scripture keeps popping into my mind. Do not bring a cursed object into your home lest you be cursed like it, and that keeps popping. And we got to be we should be very, very careful. This goes for all of you out there. Be very, very careful what you bring into your home.
Oh yeah,
because some things could have curses, hexes, vexes, and spells, and demonic entities attached to them.
Yes.
And once you bring it in, you know that poem that Donald Trump always recites, "You knew I was a snake before you let me in." Well, that's exactly right, because
it's funny
can be attached to items. And once you bring it in, then you're going to have serious problems, and it's going to require somebody like me, by the power of God working through me, to evict those things. So yes, be very, very careful.
That's a strange. That's
when Josh first sent that, Anita, I didn't get a good feeling about that. I looked at that. Oh
yeah, I mean, I was looking at a historical type of thing, and before he even said it was supposed to, I mean, I thought maybe it was something you had seen in the antique store. I didn't know if you had owned it, because Bill didn't go into anything really much at all, and I was getting all these, just from my own site. Research from doing antique doll things, because I actually have done appraisals to dolls that date to the 1850s when they started doing porcelain China dolls, and that's the first time they started making the dolls that early, and they were mostly for wealthy class of people, but the Germans were the first ones. They started doing the sculptings and the castings for these China dolls, and then of course their history of being wood carvers with the Black Forest. You had a lot of wooden, pieces. So people are always, they'll contact me. They say, is this something I should think about getting appraised, or is this worth anything? And, a lot of times they're just family heirlooms that they're passed down, and I'll just give them an insurance value. But sometimes I have somebody bringing me something in totally unexpected, and turns out to be worth a lot of money. And I've told them, I said, you can't keep this in a brown paper bag. You've got to really put this in a glass case. And this could be your grandchild's first year of college if you sell this particular item, because it's worth quite a bit. But that's a really interesting piece, though. And being up, you said Maryland, Maritime, with the water, and yeah, that's really almost like a Frederick Douglass or somebody of a.
You said the nose is broken off, Josh?
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah, because it looks like it's just a very either pushed in nose or but it has no mouth either.
The mouth was worn. That's worn.
Because,
the
mouth is there's no eyes.
Yeah,
it was in the water. It was found in the 1970s. So if it was from the 1830s, it could have been in the ground for a long time.
Yeah, I think it's made of oak, because oak is a tough wood to carve, but it also lasts a really long time if it's in the water. A lot of ships made with oak and other types of beams, but because if that was pine would have lasted, would have rotted a lot easier. But that's really cool.
Two interesting observations based on what you just said. Number one, you mentioned that it's possible someone could have carved it for their child, or they think about their child. No one, to my knowledge, has ever brought up the fact that it could be a child. I think everyone up to this point has always assumed this thing was an old man, but you think it could possibly be a child.
Yeah, but with the haircut. Yeah, I'm thinking it could be a representation. It could even be a memorial piece. It could be a person whose child passed, and this is the only thing, because they don't even have a photograph. They're just carving it from memory of what they remember. Because I also deal with a lot of mourning pictures. People bring me pictures from the 1800s, and I find them actually in a beautiful way. That they have children that passed away, and some of the pictures have to be restored. And they said, "Don't you find this creepy?" And I said, "Well, you have to understand, this might be the only picture they ever have of their child, and they passed away and they're memorializing this child. Or I've had people, I have a good friend who deals in mourning jewelry, which is the hair of the loved ones made into braided types of jewelry under glass, or watch bands, or bracelets and lockets. And this is something that they use to memorialize their loved ones. And of course, people say, could these be haunted because it's carrying a live, or, the hair is still probably have proteins or even DNA that could be viable. And they say, could this be haunted? I said, well, if you want to believe in that, but I tend to believe if that's your loved one, you're keeping it close to your heart. So, I mean, I approach people, see, I have a big doll collection, and people say, aren't you afraid? I go, no, because I've been collecting dolls since I was a little girl and been very interested in the whole idea of collecting dolls. And there are miniature artifacts and historical things, because people, when they would do these dolls, they're representing their timeline, and you could date a lot of different things, or the styles of the hair, of historical artifacts of the time dealing with the dolls, or the outfits that they're wearing. And being a lover of history and ancient history, dolls date back to the ancient Egyptians. As long as there could be something portable a child could carry, whether it be made out of fiber, made out of leather, about straw. There's even been a little girl who was very poor in London, and her mother used a lamb bone from whatever the family dinner, cleaned it and wrapped it in a shawl and made it into a doll for her little girl. So anything that you could represent to say is supposed to be a person or something for a child to love, that's what gets to me, is the love that children have for the objects, and it just shows the care that a parent took to do that carving, to me, because I've seen a lot of what really reminded me of, there's a famous cemetery here in Philadelphia that there are marble statues of children who passed, a very untimely deaths, very young. And there are pictures of them in their full outfits under glass cases. There's a beautiful statue of a little boy sitting in a chair with his like, I guess, a pop gun or something he's holding in his hand. And the parents were well-to-do enough to memorialize their child. And he has a similar haircut, like, because these children died in the early 1800s. And because we have, being outside of Philadelphia, like, we have very long historical, artifacts and cemeteries that dating all the way to the founding fathers, in Philadelphia. So that I would think that could possibly be a memorial to a child that I'm thinking of, and that could make it, maybe it is haunted.
Des, where do you come in from there? How do you follow that up? I mean, just it's amazing information, and again, I applaud Anita, because she's very educated and is very well versed in historical research and artifacts and things of that nature. So, Des, what would your follow up to that be?
Oh wow. Well, it was really educating as well. And yeah, I'm not familiar with this. You say this is a folklore, so I'm listening to all this with new ears, and I can't really see from the glance of it, and I'm trying to understand, like, the history of what we're saying, and everything. From my knowledge, yeah, I can definitely say that, and all this information. It's very interesting now hearing things like this, from what I knew before to what I know now. And being your perspective, Joshua, I used to share that same mindset as well. So I understand, and being, testing everything and using logic and evidence,
Yeah, being a truth seeker.
Yes, exactly. Absolutely. I was all about the truth. And so, and everything, is there, in being that we're talking in the supernatural, or this would be a supernatural realm, is there a boundary that you do not pass? What is your limitation? What is your boundary?
So my boundary is first of all, that this is just a hobby for me. I don't get involved. I've recently, only because I'm interested in the historical locations, have participated in like a couple of these public paranormal investigations. All but one of them was actually at this same museum I'm talking about. And most of the reason I do it is to support the museum financially. But I don't go out there looking for these things. I don't like to mess around with this stuff. If anything else, like for a long time, and actually Reverend Bean was one of the first people that started calling me a researcher. I didn't even call myself a researcher. I used to call myself a folklorist because I just collect the stories. I don't go out there. I don't mess with things because you don't know what's real, what's powerful, what's not. It's better to just stay home, be safe, and don't mess with things that might be more powerful than you, So, and so that's my limit is I keep myself removed. I collect the stories. I read the books. I share what I read. I love discussing it publicly with you guys here tonight, in these kind of situations. But that's my line. That's my limit. I don't go beyond that. I don't go looking for trouble.
Yeah, that's very wise because, once those doorways are open, you're going to have trouble. Go ahead.
One thing no, go ahead, please.
Oh, no, go ahead with your follow-up. Sorry.
No, just to revert very quickly, there was one other observation I wanted to make, and something that I never considered about this particular statue that Anita brought up. So she talked about a lot about dolls and how some people are affected by them. Well, what I find is interesting. So the way this museum is set up, there's a large section that is dedicated to recreation of Main Street and a recreation of local businesses that were in the same area years ago. And that actually incorporates pieces of those businesses, like actual parts of the structures and artifacts there. There is an antique toy store in this museum, and they recently renovated it, but for the longest time, this thing was filled with probably 100 or more vintage dolls. Just this whole room full of vintage dolls staring you in the face. And I never considered it until now, though. I've heard people say things have moved in the museum and all, but I've never heard any one story about one of these dolls being haunted. These hundreds of vintage dolls with the hair, the eyes, whatever. And meanwhile, this sort of bland, weathered wooden sculpture that's not even anywhere near this, it's just sort of in a generic room up until recently, it has a lot of folklore and a lot of stories attached to it. And I never considered that, and I thought that was interesting. I just wanted to thank Anita for bringing that to my attention. It was just something.
And I think it's interesting too. The more I look at that, I think I'm going to agree with Anita on that. It does look like a boy. It does look like that could be.
It does, and I never thought about it before. But
it's either got to be, like she said, a representation of maybe someone who passed away, or it's going to be a child's toy. Like it's almost like it's like an old school doll because it doesn't have any feet, it doesn't have any arms. Maybe they didn't do the arms, so it's easier for a child to hold. It could be a couple different reasons.
Well, I think there might have been pegs that there were arms that are articulated, even if it was just one piece. They probably broke off through the year because that would maybe fall apart because if it was pinned. Which in Philadelphia there was a manufacturer who did wooden dolls, Show and Hut. He was a carousel. He carved carousel horses. He then went into the doll business, and his dolls were patented with a very unusual spring metal mechanisms as joints for the dolls. Normally, the dolls that like the antique dolls or the vintage dolls you talk about, they have a bisque head which has been fired, and the bodies are made of composition and they're jointed. And they're strung together in sections with ball joints to the hands. There's I don't know how many different pieces can construct sometimes in one arm, but I've restrung these dolls because I know, and they have holes in the thighs and the arms and the legs, so they're jointed so they could be articulated, sit down, and things like that. Now this being one piece standing, and he looks like he's missing his arms. I think the arms probably are gone, and the face, has been weathered, and there might be where something either gouged out the eyes, or they were never maybe put in, or for some other reason, it's just that's what weathered the most. But that, I think it's a really interesting piece, and it's very old, but I don't think, as far as a child's doll, I hesitate to say that because children did not play with dolls very much in the 1800s, they were just objects to kind of look at. And on Sunday, you were allowed to play with them for a little bit because it was a church day and a day of rest. So you were allowed to maybe play with your doll, but children didn't have dolls, like either if you made them, you had to make the doll for your child, or and then you were able to buy them later in the 1870s and 80s as the Germans got into manufacturing more. Then they were able to buy heads and arms and legs, and the mothers would then stuff a body and sew the arms and legs, everything together with the China dolls, and then make an outfit. So there's a whole history where there are dads that carve dolls for their children. So the idea that it could be, but it looks like more of like a statuary, like the way he's standing.
Looks like a
it's a memorial type. It looks like something that was made for something that you would not venerate, but like you would just cherish, as something, as an object like that. But but it is really interesting.
It is interesting.
Well, tomorrow morning I'm supposed to stop by the museum, so I need to tell them all to download the latest episode of Warrior Mode. Check it out.
Get the analysis and thoughts from Chris on this.
Yeah.
I spoke to an expert last night. I'm waiting to hear what I came up with.
I'm not going to remember all this. I'm just going to tell them to download Warrior Mode and watch it.
They'll get it all. They'll get it all for sure. So, Des, this is fascinating that, and I had no idea that we were really going to take a turn in this. I mean, we discussed it before going on. And I thought, okay, well, we could, but I didn't think we were going to go this far into it. But it really is fascinating and amazing. And, our history is important. And one of the reasons that doing historical research is important is because you want to know where we come from and how things were before we came on this earth, or before we were born. And so it's all part of knowledge is power, and power perceived is power achieved. So I find history fascinating. History can be dangerous. History can be ominous. But history is enlightening because we always want to know the truth. So if we're seeking the truth, then it can be uncovered through historical research. And so I think this is a really fascinating conversation and very much needed as well, because we live in today's world. Many people live inside of a little box, and they're given these little creature comforts, cell phones, number one. And so people they have blinders on. They have their little version of life. That's it. They're content with it, and they don't want to know anything else. But when you step outside of the box, you see that there's a much bigger picture out there, and there's a lot more to life than being in your little box with your little 3 or 4 creature comforts. Then your eyes become wide open, and then you can really gain. Because the more you gain in knowledge, the more powerful you will become. So the devil, he is a master deceiver, obviously, and he is a master manipulator to keep people disinterested in history. It's all about them. It's all here. It's all now. So a lot of people live under the spirits of selfishness and rebellion. Therefore, they can't get past that to do any kind of research about anything. And the devil loves it because he's able to control people in that way. So I urge all of you, start doing some historical research into things, whether it's things like this that we're discussing or other things, because you'll be astounded to know some things that we were taught that are not true. And then you'll understand truth on some things, and it will help you to move forward in life. And certainly the truth is stranger than fiction at times, in most cases. So Des, you go ahead. What else you got for Josh?
Oh, well, Josh, a lot. In being in all this, and in your investigations and moving forward, like, what do you see in the stories that you've collected? Do you find that there's a common message from these, stories from people, or these mysteries and, unknown?
I don't know if I would say there's a common message, but there's always a common thread. And this is something that few people see, is that there's no one simple explanation for things. And that's one of the reasons I love coming on here and talking to Reverend Bean, because so many people will tell you every light in the sky is a UFO, and every, this is a message from God, and every this is a sign from the devil, and every this is your Aunt Margaret coming back to give you a message. Things, I don't think things are that clear and simple. And I think that there's a lot of interpretation. There's a lot of misinterpretation, but I also think these experiences, a lot of them are personal, and people don't take them into account. I was actually on a show just recently, and we were talking about Reverend Bean here. And if you know the backstory, the story of the house he grew up in from his first book, well, one of the news reporters did a story, and the person that was living there at the time said, no, nothing's ever happened there. And I believe them, and I believe him. I don't think that things are so black and white, cut and dry, that this house is haunted or this house isn't haunted. I think I see people have experiences, and I think that too often we try to put labels on them and say they did or didn't happen. And I think
Josh,
reality is much deeper.
I got to share this with you, and I'm glad you brought this up. Now, he's referring to a Fox 45 cover story that was done about me in that house. I think they aired it in the year 2000. And so the lady who lived there at the time, I don't know anything about the people that lived there, didn't know anything until I was contacted by that lady's best friend, by the way. So anyway, the lady went on. They've got no trespassing signs up on the house. I have never publicly given that address out, never gave it out in any book that I've ever written, never gave it out in any interview. You can go check and verify that it's all true. I've never given that address out. However, those events did take place, and I have the right to talk about them. And so the lady went on the interview and said, the only evil thing here is Bill Bean and his books. That's what she said. And I was contacted by her best friend shortly after that interview. And she told me that the lady and her family were having all kinds of problems in that house. And the lady was mysteriously wheelchair bound. The doctors can't figure out what's wrong with her and all that. Now, I find that interesting because my mother was very ill the entire time we lived in that house, and it led to her early demise. So, like you, and the news put it out there, you take it for what the lady said. But then when I received that message from her best friend telling me that, I was like, well, it doesn't surprise me a bit. And then there was another family that lived there. The family that moved in after we left, I was contacted by him. And he told me a lot of terrible experiences that they too had in the house. The mother went into the bathroom one time. She didn't lock the door, but somehow the door was not opening. She was trying to open the door. Something was holding the door closed and shut. And the two boys, the one that contacted me and his brother, ran and got an axe, and they had to go and axe chop that door down to get the mother out. So there's a lot, and again.
And it wasn't just that. No, I was just going to say, it wasn't just that house. Other people that have lived in that area have had similar stories too, which actually brings me to the second common thread that I've discovered through my research, is that I think location is very, very important to all these weird stories. Just like you have people that live in places that have UFO sightings and ghost experiences and all in one place, which I didn't really get into at this point, but that's the central focus of my book, is that there's a river around here called the Middle River. And for whatever reason, this area that I'm in, I've lived here for 2 years now, but I actually had experience in this area myself back in the 90s. It's more prone to these kind of things, these kind of stories. And when I moved, my sister was like, oh, you're just, it's because you live there. And I was like, no. And I showed her, I said, here is a list of Bigfoot sightings where I live now. And here's a list of Bigfoot sightings of where I used to live for 40 years. And there wasn't a single Bigfoot sighting in that whole location where I was there for 40 years. But there's dozens and dozens and dozens that I can almost see from my front door where I am at now. So I think location is another common thread that I see in these stories.
And then the seas with the sea monsters and things like that. I mean, they're very real. They're called Leviathan in the Bible. And so they're very, very real. They are, I'm convinced now that they're everywhere, all over the world. So bodies of water, people say, oh, the Loch Ness Monster. Well, Maryland, right here in Maryland, where Josh is talking about, from the Chesapeake Bay in the Middle River and all these places, there's sightings of these monsters. They're very
I was
real.
hoping somebody would bring up sea monsters. Like, nobody's going to bring it up. And I have this right by my computer. Nobody's going to talk about sea monsters. So I moved it out of the way. I should have left it here. But
it's great.
And the sea monster here is called Chessie.
Okay, Chessie.
So this is a frequently seen, like a Loch Ness monster,
yes.
Here in Maryland, and Josh writes about this in his book.
Yeah, but here's the thing, and this is why I love this kind of stuff. So, right before Chessie was photographed for the first time, famously, or videotaped, I should say, there was a book released about people that saw and photographed Chessie in that exact same location before it happened in real life, supposedly. Like, there's all these weird little twists and turns and stuff, and that's one of the reasons I'm interested in this stuff. It's just the weird anecdotes and the things you don't see coming. It's not as clear cut and dry as ghosts and aliens and whatever and sea monsters.
He's got an account of that right down near where I live at here.
Yes,
there's a bridge, a body of water here, and I guess that what would that be, the South River, Josh, where the Chesapeake filters into that?
It is around there. Off the top of my head, I don't remember the exact where in that area it took place, but yes, it was near the South River there.
Every time I go over that bridge, I think about it. I haven't seen anything in those waters, but let's just say it wouldn't surprise me, because there have been a lot of reports and a lot of sightings of things like that, all throughout Maryland. So it is very, very interesting. And Des is in a very historical part of where she lives in Baltimore. That's a very historical part of town as well.
There's a lot. If you don't mind me asking, what part of Baltimore are you?
Oh yeah, I was gonna say I'm over here. Sowebo.
Okay, yeah,
Pigtown.
Sort of like Pigtown, that area.
Yeah, I'm in Pigtown area.
Yeah, it's a lot of history there.
Oh, there's a lot of.
Last year, I was asked to give a talk about weird, strange things that have happened associated with places in Baltimore County. And man, I was beating my head against the wall because all the cool stuff's happened in Baltimore City. It was so hard. Every time I come up with a really good story, I'm like, oh, that's the city. That's the city.
There's some weird things outside my front door. Yeah, it's.
Well, tell us about it. I want to hear about it.
Oh, I mean, the neighborhood that I live in, if you ask the neighbors or whatnot, and then I've had some things that I've seen in my Ring camera that just obviously looks suspicious. Big, huge, like a globe of, like you would say orb or whatnot. But the whole thing just moved intelligently, I would say. Not just indirectly, but with the purpose and intelligently. And yes, definitely had a direction. It waited, it moved, waited, was not even flickered. You could see wind, everything else moving around. The color of it looked very different than a normal, how can I say, like from a flashlight. It was translucent. So
I'm sorry. Could you get an idea of size? Like how big?
Yes, probably about the size of a basketball. It was large. Yeah, it was a good size. Yeah, it's a good size.
And it's interesting that Des mentions that, because I've had experiences with evicting demons out of homes. When she mentioned that about the size of the basketball, I was binding and rebuking and casting out demons in this family home. I think it was in Maryland. And it was among my first cases that I was ever involved in. And I went down into the basement and I was binding and rebuking and casting out. Suddenly, these two black forms, the size of basketballs, emerged and joined together and floated throughout the basement, right out through that back door. I'll never ever forget that. So when she says basketballs, that brought those memories back.
That size has a lot of meaning for me too. I'm curious, is this just was like a one-time thing? You only saw this on your camera once, or
Now
have you seen it?
I have I've kind of, I didn't mean to, and it was in the after hour. It was in those wee hours of like the 3 a.m. hours, 3:30, between 3 and I think it's between 3 and 4 a.m. Which I thought was even strange that my Ring camera even picked it up. So obviously there was something that was there that
Of
motion
substance,
sensitive.
yeah, for it to pick it up.
True, very true. The outside of the orb or the energy, whatever this thing was, also was of a dimmer. It was more dark, fuzzier haze, you would say, more of a browner, yuckier kind of a. It wasn't all bright, glowy, and that's what kind of made me more, I guess, skeptical to test it more. Of like, hey, this does not look common. This definitely doesn't look normal. This doesn't give me a good vibe. If you want to say that vibe check or whatever, like, no,
Well, you
this
can
is
feel
not
the
good.
difference through discernment. You can feel, I mean,
Absolutely.
it is through frequency and vibration. So if something is divine and divinely sent, then we can feel that. We can feel blessing, we can feel love, we can feel comfort, we can feel protection. But if it is evil in nature, well, you can feel that too, because the feelings have flipped to an opposite way, which lowers the frequency and vibration into a fear-based, trauma-based way of thinking.
Interesting. Yes. And you know what? And I can definitely go through all those emotions during that time, as I'm trying to dismiss and like sort through, what I'm observing. And it went all the way through and it kind of like went past my door. Now, going back later, talking to some of the neighbors here in the area, they say that they hear like, because there's used to be a lot of prostitution in this area, a lot of drug use, a lot of not a nice area
Sure.
before in the I guess the older times than what they're doing here now of refurnishing the area. So there's like a woman that comes through. They say like that she used to be a worker, a night worker, a sex worker, and you could hear her talking. There's sometimes you hear voices out there, like somebody's talking just in a full conversation, and there's nobody. I've stuck my head out because sometimes the walls are thin, and so you can say here just to see if I could see anybody or anything. But the neighbors across the way, because I've mentioned it, like, wow, it's so loud, at the quiet hours, because I'm a night person as well. And they'll say, "Oh, you heard the ghosts? Have you heard about Big Town? Have you heard about the
No.
spirits?" Yeah, yeah. I'm like, "No, tell me." All I know is
And
to lock the door.
And when we think
And
about that, Des, your area, there's other areas of Baltimore, Leakin Park, that is one of the most nefarious, notorious, probably I would have to say evil areas in
yeah,
Baltimore. A lot of bodies are found there. We could make a broadcast out of just talking about that place. And Philadelphia as well. There are places, with
Yes.
that type of history,
Mhm.
there's a lot of places that harbor. So again, I've said this before and it's worth repeating, we all have a soul. I believe that 100%. And when we expire on this earth, the soul will depart. But I think there's something else, which is a life essence that very well could stay on the earth in the form of some of these things that people would call hauntings or whatever. It is part of a life essence of an individual, of a timestamp of an event that took place that could loop over and over and over, like something being on a DVD player. It is a part of that energy that for some reason stays on the earth. And whether it is attached to every person that has a life essence, which I believe they do, then that could really explain these types of. Now, look, and some are going to say, nope, that's all demonic. Well, it could be, because there are demonic familiar spirits who do impersonate our long lost loved ones. That's true. And it does happen. But there is also something else, even if you want to look biblically, where the account of Peter, he's panicking because he sees Jesus walking on the water and he says, "Don't be afraid, I'm not a ghost." Well, there's other accounts in there that talk about ghosts and ghostly phenomena and all that. So I have to believe that some of that is part of a life essence that each and every person carries, just like they carry a soul.
And one thing I need to point out, and this is a perfect example of Desiree's story here, is that skeptical people are always saying, well, everybody's walking around with cell phones in their hand, everybody has Ring cameras, why aren't we seeing all of this evidence? Well, that's because not everybody has a YouTube broadcast like Reverend Bean and gets on here and shares all their photos and publicly airs all their weird photos and stuff. This stuff happens all the time. I've seen some of the craziest, weirdest things on people's personal Ring cam videos and photos, but they're just not out there sharing it. But the evidence is out there, the experiences are out there, and people are having these things and seeing them, and they're real. I don't know what they are, but this is really happening to people, and this is a perfect example. If we hadn't been on this subject, and it hadn't come up, and we hadn't asked, I never would have known about this experience. And she hinted at the fact that this isn't even the only one she had, and so you just don't realize what people have experienced, what people have seen, and what people are aware of. Because and a lot of times people don't even ask, which is a whole nother thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's and I certainly hope that through my writings and now with this new book, presenting all the pictures that I have in the book, I hope this will bring something forth that some people will say, you know what, I want to share my experiences. If he's got the courage to share these things. And so if you've got the truth with you, whether you don't have to be afraid of anything. What am I afraid of? People ridiculing me or what? I don't care what people say. They can say anything they want about me. It doesn't change the truth. It doesn't change the fact of the matter. So if you have the truth with you, you'll never lose. So don't be afraid. If you're having these kind of experiences and you do have this kind of documentation, then show it, because knowledge is power. Power perceived is power achieved.
Yeah, like I said before, I never intended to write a book. I never was a public figure. I never would. Even when I wrote my book, I never intended to be on shows like this and talk about it. I wanted to send Reverend Bean a copy of my book just because he was in it, and he asked me, "Hey, would you come on my Warrior Mode?" And I'm like, "What is that? Is it a video? Is it an audio thing?" He had to explain it to me. Because I just wasn't out there sharing the knowledge that I had gained and the things that I had experienced personally. So yeah, people give other people the courage to come forward and talk about this kind of stuff.
Right. That's right. Absolutely right. That's right.
And this is, again, we're so glad to have you, Josh, and you're welcome back here anytime you want to come back, because we always have a great discussion, and it's always going somewhere else. There are people say, oh, he's going to be on again. Well, no, he's going to be on again, but we're going to talk about different things. It's not going to be any repeat of, it could be, but in most cases we go in other directions and talk about other things. And that's fascinating to me, because I think it's endless of the things that we could talk about and discuss. And I'm so glad for the three of you to be with me on this, to where we can have somebody like Josh, to where we can, really share a lot of valuable information, in my opinion.
And I love being on here with everybody else. I like talking about this stuff, but I don't like being the central focus. It's more fun when there's more people in the conversation.
Well, you just let me know when you want to come back. You're welcome here. You've got an open invitation anytime.
Thank you.
And we certainly love having you. And Anita and Chris, I'm so sorry for keeping you. I try to keep it at an hour for them because I worry about Chris's health.
No, it's fine.
Okay. All right. I'm so glad that you guys.
I would let you know if there was something, but we're having a good discussion. So.
Yeah, this is great. And Des, I'm so glad that you're here. And hopefully, you'll be clear now to be back with us. And we always enjoy you being here. And so this is, again, where the four of us, we can have this kind of discussion and have these different questions for somebody like Josh. And again, I think is very valuable information.
Oh, yeah.
So this is a public service in the sense of educating people and also perhaps inspiring others to come forward with their documentation, their stories, and whatever it is. I mean, and if you are out there and you have something like this, well, then you can send a message to me or Des, Anita, Chris, any or Josh, and then maybe we'll feature your story here on the broadcast, and we'll talk about it. And the five of us will assemble again and discuss your case. and go over it. We may even bring you on. We'll see how that develops, but don't be afraid. That is the main theme here. Don't be afraid. Have the courage, have good courage, and be strong, because that's what God wants from us. This is all part of taking a leap of faith. And many times when these type of paranormal supernatural experiences are taking place, it can be evil because it's fear-based, trauma-based, and that could keep the person not only under the thumb of the devil, but it could keep them in a fetal position to where they don't want to talk about it. When people have traumas, they don't want to talk about it. And when people, have these regularly occurring experiences, they might as well be in shackles and chains. They can't rise above it. They can't talk about it. And that is right out of the devil's playbook. It is divide and conquer tactics and isolation tactics to wear the target down to the point to where the target gives up the will to fight or live anymore. And that's how a full demonic possession could take place. So I implore you out there, those of you that may be having these experiences or have to share them, come forward with them, share them. Let's shine a light on them, because when we shine the light on the darkness will scurry away, and they know it and we know it. So again, listen to what I'm saying and share with us, and we'll never ridicule you. We'll never do anything other than try and provide our best ability and capability to analyze and to be a blessing to you in some way. So Josh, thank you so much again, brother. I really appreciate it. And I hope that you'll be there next week.
Yeah. Are you going to ask me about what else I got going on before I leave? Can I promote anything? Or?
Of course. Tell me anything and everything.
By all means.
So please. So tomorrow night, I'm actually going to be filling in as co-host on this podcast. It's called the Bigfoot and Paranormal Encounters Podcast.
I'm going to see him tomorrow night with Dave.
We're interviewing this gentleman named Reverend Bill Bean about a new book called The Bean Files. So if you want to see more of me, tune in tomorrow night. I'll be there with Reverend Bean.
Amazing.
So thank you very much, guys. Thank you for having me.
We love having you,
brother. It was fantastic. It was great talking with you, Josh.
So I'm going to give a final question for Anita, Chris, and Des, and then we'll let Josh go, and then we'll get into the spiritual aspect and the spiritual warfare stuff.
Right.
So Anita and Chris.
What do you ask?
No, you're up.
Oh, I'm up. Oh, no. But of all the different tales or folk stories you've heard, Josh, is there one that really sticks with you that kind of like plays back in your mind that it really made a lasting impression with you as far as something that like so affected when you heard the story?
There's a lot. I'll share one that I just think is kind of a cool one. Last summer, I had taken a new job at a new school, and I'd already accepted the job. I didn't tell anybody that, and one of the local historians sent me this article, and he's like, "Oh, you probably know about this already," and I didn't. And there was a UFO landing in 1978, and it happened literally 700 feet away from the classroom I work in every day. Oh, wow. And I've done some investigating. I've gone to where it happened. I verified the people that actually lived there, and there was some police involved, and there were some marks on the ground. So I love that case because I get to see it every day. Every day when I work, I pass by there, I park right there, and I think about it all the time. So that's kind of my favorite case.
Oh, that's cool. That's yeah. I mean, to be right in that area, as you said, the areas could be affecting the legend, or the legend affects the area. Yeah, it's one or the other.
And last year, I got asked to do a little presentation at school, and I saved it for the very end. And I told the whole story, but I didn't tell them where it took place. And I was like, "This is where it took place." And I pointed to the PowerPoint, and all the kids were like, "So."
That's
amazing. And Chris, do you have a final question for Josh?
I think we pretty much cover everything. I mean, I don't really know.
It's another thing that I like about Josh is that, like he just said, he'll hear the story and maybe somebody will give him the story, but then he does his own investigation into it to try and verify. And I love that. I mean, I think, again, that is anybody who's seeking the truth is going to do that type of thorough investigation into things.
Have you ever had an Oh, sorry.
No, I was just going to say, I don't try to prove whether the stories happened or the phenomena is real. I try to prove whether they could happen. If the people really existed in the places, the way it was described. And then I just let the story, the experiences speak for themselves after that.
Yeah, love that.
I was
Des,
just
go
gonna ask
ahead.
that. Yeah, I was just gonna ask that. I was like, have you ever had a a story or something where you heard it one way or like or any of the stories that you have in your book, the mystery of the Middle River, mysterious Middle River, that when you went out to investigate, it was actually opposite or different than what you were getting.
So I won't go into in detail here, but there was a really, really famous Bigfoot case that happened here 50 years ago. This year, it's still talked about internationally, but most of the local people don't know about it. And the more and more I looked into it, the more and more evidence keeps popping up that it was mostly a hoax. And funny enough, a reporter came to my house to do a story on it, and I've only lived here a short while. And my wife was like, "Oh, so the neighbor's out front. He's lived here a long time. Go talk to him." So the reporter asked him about it. He's like, "Oh yeah, I remember that." He's like, "My sister was out there faking the Bigfoot prints in the mud and stuff, and everybody got involved in it and stuff." He's like, "But you know what? There's still weird things that we can't explain about it. These Bigfoot sightings, there's parts of it that we don't." To this day, don't understand it. He knows all the witnesses. He remembers he was here. And then he looks at her. He's like, "There's this really great book written about it." He starts telling her about my book, but he had no idea that I wrote it, which was really funny. So yeah, there's some things that you look in and they're not always what you think they are, but it's still fun. I'm all about the story. It doesn't matter about the truth or whatever. I like the story.
Yeah, it's fun. That's fun stuff.
I think it's fantastic, and his book is fantastic too. It's loaded with a lot of very valuable information and interesting cases. And next time you come back, Josh, maybe we could dig into a few of those cases again, because there's still some that stick with me. And if I get started now, we'll be all night long here. So, when we could talk all night, but thank you so much, brother. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. And
nice to meet everyone.
The book, Mysterious.
Thank you, Desiree, for some great questions. Thank you, and Kristen and Anita for some great insights. I really enjoyed talking to everyone.
I really,
thank you for reading my book, Josh. I hope you enjoy it.
We got to put Anita's book cover up here next week too. So she's got 3 of them.
Oh, she's got 3. I only know about the 2.
Yeah. Oh, the third one's my favorite one. That's the memoir of her parents, the love story of her.
All right, I got to do my research now.
Yeah.
That's a
I did research for that one. That was because of my parents, but that was really good with World War II. So there's a lot of interesting things in there. So.
Love it. Yeah. Right. So Josh, next time you come back, we'll have a lot more interesting stuff to dig into, and looking forward to seeing you tomorrow night, and hopefully seeing you next Saturday night at that books. Well, it's actually Saturday afternoon from 4 to 7. And we're hoping to see you then.
All right. Take care.
All right, my brother. God bless you and your family. Bye. Oh, what a great guy. He is fantastic and a fountain of knowledge as well. And it's always great to have him on. And it's great that you guys were here to where we could all ask him questions and have a good dialogue with him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was
just captivating. Just like listening to all the stuff. Like I didn't even know what to. I just like I don't know. I just let him go, let him talk, and let him talk about and just let it flow. So. And
it did, Chris. It flowed perfectly well. And as Des was talking about her area, there was an area. I guess it would probably be closer to East Baltimore. Des is sort of like over near West Baltimore, but this account, one of these accounts out of Josh's book, took place in East Baltimore, where this phantom was jumping from roof to roof, and he would appear in all black, and these people would see him, and had the whole area panicked. And so maybe next time he comes back, we'll get into that story. But he's got a collection of those types of stories that are really fascinating. From the late 1800s through the early 1900s into the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, then 60s and current. But there's a lot. He's got a lot of valuable information in there.
But it's interesting with the invention of the Ring camera, how many people are seeing things in the middle of the night that they're not awake usually, or you happen to see later on that you're being alerted, and they capture these really strange things.
Well, it's happening more and more, and people send those images to me as well. And maybe, like I said, we'll start featuring some of that on the broadcast. And so if you are out there and you are capturing footage, then maybe we will consider sharing your story and sharing some of the footage on the broadcast.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's great. It's great how it all flows nicely. And it's just wonderful having the three of you here. It just makes it so much nicer, and it makes things flow so much better. So I appreciate all of you.
Oh, we appreciate us having us on.
It's a blessing.
This is our regular spot. So
this is our spot.
And the people love it too. I've gotten so much positive feedback from the viewers that they love you guys being on here. They enjoy it. And so it's win-win for everybody.
Yeah.
Yes,
think
it
so.
is.
As long as we're not keeping,
hallelujah.
Again, I don't want to keep. I worry about Chris.
Yeah, well, it's getting near a little bit to me, but it's getting near one for me.
Yeah,
but,
it was just. It was a busy day today.
Yeah, and I apologize for keeping you guys.
No, it's all good.
No, it's all good.
It was good. We were having a good discussion. So, but
it's just it gets to be with.
It's getting a little bit late now, but it's all right. It's still okay.
Well, let's. I want to let you go and let you get some rest. And I thank you both for being here.
Love and appreciate
you. So good to see you, and Chris. God bless you, my brother.
And then we'll see you next week. We'll do this all over again next week, and then we'll be talking about the precursor to go on to the book signing next week.
Right.
And
it'll be the day before the book signing.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and then we got to put our heads together about what we're going to do in your area and how we're going to. We'll come up with something, because I'm looking forward to that.
I'm trying to make a couple of contacts. Mercedes just said, because I'll be on Mercedes.
She's on Mercedes show on Tuesday
night.
Yeah, and we're going to have Mercedes and Bishop Sparks on with us soon. We'll have them on.
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to being on the show with her. And
it's going to be great, of course.
Yeah.
So, all right, guys, get some rest. Love you both, and thank you for being here.
You too,
have a wonderful
Thank you, everybody.
Shabbat shalom.
Good night.
Good night.
Okay, Des, it's so great having them. I really enjoy Anita and Chris being on with us every week, and they're a blessing. And like I said, I don't like to keep him too long, because he needs to get rest because of his health. And so we kept him almost an hour past what we should have, but I'm glad that he was here. And
thankful.
Yeah, it was great. So now, thank all of you out there for being a part of this ministry and a part of this Warrior Mode family. I hope that you have found our broadcast tonight, our service, and our discussion to be of interest. And we're going to have lots more interesting people coming on in the coming weeks. And we appreciate all of you. We thank you for being a part of this. So now let's get to our spiritual deliverance aspect of things. If you're out there and you're suffering and you feel like you're under spiritual attack, well, you're in the right place, and take advantage of this golden opportunity as I freely give to you by the power of God working through me. So if this is you, then take a deep breath in and exhale. If you could get on your knees, get on your knees and just start doing a life review. If you can do that, wonderful, fantastic. If you can't get on your knees, well, then you just stay right where you are. And I want you to start to feel the power and the presence of God with you, because he's been with us throughout the whole broadcast, and he's going to stay with you as well. And also do a life review. So think about the problems that are taking place. It could go all the way back to childhood. It usually does. And while you're doing that, I'm going to start to pray. Holy, holy, holy Yahweh Elohim, our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is done in heaven. And give us this day our daily bread. And forgive us of our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forevermore. Glory, hallelujah, Selah. And Father, we are not only gathered here in order for every person that's participating in this right now to be free from evil, from all curses, hexes, vexes, and spells. We are also gathered here in order for them to renew their everlasting covenant with you. Father, may they always make you first and keep you first. May they renounce Satan and all of his demons and all of his works. And I ask that you forgive them for anything that they have ever done that was not pleasing to you. And I pray that you hear my prayer, Father, and I pray that you honor it and bring forth complete transformation and restoration for these people. Furthermore, Father Yahweh, by your mighty power and your mighty and holy name, in Yahshua Jesus the Christ's name, I bind and break the power of Satan and all of his demons, all his fallen angels, all his unclean spirits, all his demonic powers and principalities, all his demonic strongholds, all of his demonic attachments, all of his legal rights, all curses, hexes, vexes, spells, charms, fetishes, all witchcraft, sorcery, magic, voodoo, all death, destruction, sickness, pain, torment, all relationship curses, all ungodly soul ties, all family bloodline curses, the spirits of Al-Kul, the spirits of pharmakia, the spirits of suicide, the spirits of rage, the spirits of murder, the spirits of hatred, the spirits of depression, the spirits of stress and anxiety, and anything and everything that the devil has built over these people. By your mighty power, Father Yahweh, in your mighty and holy name, in Yahshua Jesus the Christ's name, I declare all of it broken off of these people here and now. Yahweh, rebuke thee, Satan, depart, and never return. I command it, I declare it, by the mighty power of Yahweh and his mighty and holy name, in Yahshua Jesus the Christ's name. It is so. I declare these people to be blessed, sealed, sanctified, purified, cleansed, and made holy before the Most High God. Peace is upon them, and peace shall remain forevermore. Glory, hallelujah, Selah. Now take the deepest breath in and push it out as hard as you can. And as you're pushing it out, I want you to visualize these giant warrior angels around you, and I want you to see those angels taking all of that evil garbage into custody and carrying it off far, far away from you. It's time to start a brand new chapter and a brand new season in your life in peace, freedom, and victory. And the way to do that is to be real with God, because if you're real with him, he'll be real with you. So draw as close to him as you possibly can, and he'll draw even closer to you, because we always want to be under the blessings of Deuteronomy 28 and the protection of Psalm 91, always. So if he would do it for somebody like me, he'll do it for somebody like you. Now, if you want to make my day, and it will make my day, send me a message and let me know that you did participate and that you felt the power of God remove all that evil from you, and it will absolutely make my day. And then go to my websites, go to the Pinterest page, or wherever you go, fill your temple with God's word and his goodness, and that will help you to keep your foot on top of the devil throughout the week. May you be blessed, and may you be a blessing always. And as our 10 steps to victory, making Yahweh first, he won't be second to anyone or anything. Step 2, following the path and the teachings of the Melchizedek, the high priest, Yahshua, aka Jesus. Step 3, building your faith. Step 4, forgiveness, which is every bit as much for us as it is for the person that we're forgiving. Matthew 6, verse 14, Jesus says, if you forgive other people when they trespass against you, your heavenly Father will also forgive you. Step 5, finding your purpose in life. It is the greatest thing to know why you're here and what you're supposed to be doing. Step 6, using the power of positive thinking to keep the frequency and vibration on high. That's what you want. Step 7, setting goals, outline, and define. Step 8, giving to others with a glad heart. It is the greatest thing to give to someone, expecting nothing in return. Yahweh sees our Christ-like deed, and he will return blessings upon us because we were selfless. See, Jesus was the living example of being selfless, okay? So that is the order that we should strive to be in. We should live under the golden rule, treat others how you want to be treated, and then be selfless and think about ways to help others. That is giving with a glad heart, and that is being in the order of the Melchizedek, Yahshua Jesus the Christ. Step 9, being grateful for everything. Don't fret about what you don't have. Be thankful for what you do have, because I guarantee you there's someone else out there who has it worse than you. And step 10, walking in that level of warrior mode, faith, strength, and courage. If you trade the fear for the faith and you're really walking in that level of faith, words are easy to say. Oh, I believe, I do. Okay, do you? And that's between God and you. And if you are not, as you say, well, he knows that. Okay. You're not going to con him. So, my best suggestion is to really get into that level of warrior mode, faith, strength, and courage. And if you do, you will be blessed in all of your ways, and you'll be a blessing to anyone and everyone that comes into your life and into your path. And our 7 declarations, Father, we thank you and praise you for this day, and we'll thank you and praise you for every day for life. We declare victory in this new day, and we'll declare victory in each and every day for life. We declare that no weapon formed against us shall prosper. We declare that everything that we do and everything that we touch will be successful. We declare perfect health in mind, body, and spirit. We declare to be a blessing to others, and we declare to have power and authority over all evil and negativity 24/7, 365 for life. And our 20 affirmations. Yahweh is first in my life. I'm walking in faith, strength, and courage. I'm no longer a victim to anyone or anything. I am blessed and I'm a blessing. I'm strong in mind, body, and spirit. I will live in peace, freedom, and victory. I am victorious. I have the qualities required for happiness and success. I will live in peace, joy, and happiness. I've replaced all my negative thoughts with positive ones to raise my frequency and vibration. I will not give up. I'm strong. I'm still going. If I get knocked down 1,000 times, I'll get back up 1,001. And I have, and I will. I am worthy. The going may be tough, but it's only for a short time. Things will improve. I'm healing every day. I'm getting better every day. I'm ready to get busy living and winning. I'm moving forward. I refuse to lose, and I am in warrior mode 24/7, and you should be as well. And always remember that we have bad days sometimes, and bad chapters and bad seasons in life. Things do go wrong, and good things do happen, or bad things do happen to good people sometimes, unfortunately. And we all struggle with something in some way. The key to having a good, peaceful, and stable life is to always keep God first and be dedicated to the pursuit of happiness and a better life. Not only seek it, but just as you are committed to Yahweh, be fiercely committed to his promise to help us to have just that. It's all there in Deuteronomy 28. So I issue this weekly challenge. I challenge you to make God first. I challenge you to make each and every day count. I challenge you to be committed to excellence. I challenge you to go out of your way to be a blessing and a help to others in some way. I challenge you to do random acts of kindness. I challenge you to stand up for what is good and for what is right. We're all in this world together and in this life together. God works a miracle for each and every one of us every day when we open our eyes with the gift of life. So I challenge you to make the most of the greatest gift ever given to us by our glorious God, the gift of life. May you be up for the challenge, and may you be blessed, and may you be a blessing always. And as our prayer list, we start with Linda and our family, and I pray for my son-in-law, Tony. He's dealing with some issues, and we pray that God will bless him and help him to navigate through the situation of caregiving for a family member. Des, we pray for you and your family, and Leah and her family, and we pray for Anita, Chris, and Josh Bell and his family, and Melinda and her family, and specifically her son Bill and sister Melody, Bob and Jen. Bob is still struggling. He's healing, but it is a slow process. Mike and Ashley and Mrs. Supa, and they're still grieving the tremendous loss of Mr. Supa. The Hart family and Darlene, John Morris and his family, Travis Short. Travis, I talked with his wife the other day, Angela, and he is making a remarkable recovery. He's had a major surgery, and sometimes those type of surgeries don't go so well. But he is, as of the last time I talked with Angela, healing and recovering and doing better than the doctors expected. So we'll continue to pray for complete healing miracle for Travis and a complete and full recovery. So we continue to pray for Travis and Angela and their family, and Rachel Ty. Dave and Shar and their family. And again, I'm looking forward to being on with Dave Weigert tomorrow night on his show. And now Josh Bell with him. That's going to be great. Double pleasure. And then looking forward to seeing them next week at my book signing. I hope you're there too, Des. Hopefully you'll be able to make it. If you're not back in Delaware, hopefully you'll make it. So Deb Hutchinson and her family, specifically her son Frank Jr., Sylvia and her family, John and Mark Geist and their family, Amy Counts, who is abroad right now. Amy's been sending me these fantastic, beautiful pictures from all over Europe, and I think she's in Spain right now, and she's got some stunning photographs. What a beautiful world our God created, I'll tell you. And thank you, Amy, for sending those photographs. They are beautiful. And we continue to pray for her and her husband, Ron, and Ron's brother, Paul, and Paul's wife, Diane, and their family. My good buddy, Tony Doak, and Charlie Knight, my other good buddy, and their families. I'm looking forward to seeing them next week at my book signing. It was so great to have recently seen them and spent some time with them. It had been so long since we'd seen each other, so it was great to have seen them. Stroh, we'll get Stroh back on here soon. I'm hoping he can come back within the next couple of weeks. He's doing much better, praise God. And Kev Baker's family, Pearl, Frank, and Kevin, Kenny, Jessica, and Finley, and the rest of the family. Jeff Leeper and Melissa Leeper and their family. And Jeff, I'm looking forward to seeing you next week at the book signing as well. The Bergstrom family, Brother Bob Bergstrom, specifically a warrior, if there ever was one. And Bob is like on a roller coaster. He's having, a period to where he seems to be stabilizing, and then it goes down, and he goes through some stuff, and he's back in the hospital. So he's valiantly battling, and God is with you, Bob, and God does love you. Why are you going through this? I can't give you an answer for that. But what I can say is that everything is for a reason. We don't know what it is yet, but perhaps God will reveal it to us. And he certainly loves you, and he is with you. So no matter what happens, he's always going to be with you, and he's going to help you to overcome no matter what. And we continue to pray for his sister Linda and his mom Maria and the rest of the family, and the Nuno family as well, Sandra and Isidro, and the rest of the family, and Sandra's brother Jose Bustos. We continue to pray for them. And Joe and Mercedes and their family, specifically Mercedes' son. We continue to pray for him and them. We look forward to having again Mercedes and Bishop Sparks on here with us in the near future. Jason McLeod, much like Bob Bergstrom, Jason is on a roller coaster. He's had recent surgery. He's up and he's stabilizing, and then the bottom drops out. And my heart breaks for both of them and for anybody that's suffering in the way that they are through these terrible afflictions. And we pray that God will bless them both with healing miracles, and anybody that's going through this kind of stuff. Archbishop Enright and his family, Bishop Sparks and his family, G and Lizette Salazar and their family, Gaia, Elle Rosen and her dad, Breck Worsham and her family. Thank you again, Breck, for that fantastic review. Rick Richardson and his family, Bart Carlucci, Kathy Rock Smith, David Coleman and his family, Walt and Pam Lohman, John and Dee Bosley. I look forward to seeing Walt and John soon. Pastor Jonathan Cobb and his family, Pastor Jason Morlock and his family, Tim and Bridget Diaz and their family, Linda Blackman and her family, Patty Barbato Altabelli and her family, Amanda and Farah, Steve and Jen Hodgin. We'll have Steve back again soon as well. It was great having him on with us. Maybe Jen will join him. Tammy Hall-Creve and her family, Casey Ruiz, Jay Santana, Peter Tracy Edwards and their family, Raylan Clark, Rachel Gecko and her family, Kim Mailer, Sandra Clark, Chandria and the rest of the family, Serenity Moore, Deborah Walker and her mom, Christy Austin, Kathy and her family, Regina and her family, Kathy Smith and her husband Ron and her family. Kathy's still mourning the loss of her beloved brother Ron. Jerry Schwartz, aka Jerry Daytona and his family, Jim Blydner and his family, and I want to thank Kathy Smith and Jim Blydner for their awesome reviews as well. Sherry Sperry and her family, Rebecca Menon, and her children Alicia and Blake, and her sisters Debbie and Michelle. Peter and Donna in Boston. Terry and Taylor Kay and Lonnie as well. Vita Henrique. Ricky Wolf and her family in Baltimore. Lisa Marie Knox and her dad Steve Knox and her son Caleb. Doris in Baltimore. Tina Marie in Pennsylvania. Another valiant warrior battling cancer. Lydia, Eric, Jordan, Chase, and the rest of the family. Gail Morgan, John Downs and family, Lene and Devin and the Vaughn family. Velma Matthias and her son James. Alice Marie Buck and her family, specifically her dad Thomas and mom Cherie. Kana Rose, Mr. and Mrs. Virgil Chick, Angela S. and family. Christy Gilmore and her son, Frank in North Carolina. Sue Bechter and her family. And I thought I saw in the chat that Sue was suffering from some serious ailments this week. And Sue, we continue to pray for a complete healing miracle for you and for everybody on this list. Mike, Sandy, James, Fred, Gail, and Andy. Dr. Rudolph Garza, Mary Keena the dog. Rachel Morrison and her family. Joyce and Tim in Kingsport, Tennessee. Travis and Debbie Garver. Bruce and Mary Collier and their family. Rhonda Brown, her sister Melanie Kohlberg. Jan Woodard and family. Michael Ann Pease. Dolores Spina and her family. And Carolyn and the rest of the family. Rudy and Louise Salendenon and their family in Delaware. Jose and Cheryl Velez and their family. Tom Walker Jarlis and his family. Robert D. Bartolomo and his family. Brad and Grace Shaw, Deb Hoffman, Terry and Anna Todd and their family, Kim Cross and her family in Baltimore, Jim and Anita Harlow in Baltimore and their family, Raymond Mossy and his family in South Africa, Frank Bodek, Frank Smith and his family, Jim Kelly and his mom Greta and the rest of the family in Scotland, Enda Coyne and his family in Ireland, Mary O'Halloran in Tasmania, Polly Gillen and her children in Greenville, Tennessee, Ginger Gutierrez in Las Vegas, Brett G., Henry and Casey in East Tennessee, Joseph Sacanti in Delaware, Geraldine Mitchell in Ireland, Brian and Noah Foy, hi Noah, and Ethan Lugo, Gail Cover, Deneen Dorsey and her family, Kim Williams and her family, Nige Eiler in Scandinavia, Bobby Owens, Jordan Owens, Dawn Geary and her family in Washington State, Chris Madeline and baby Layla, Casey Kern and her family, Dr. Anthony Weinert and family in Michigan, Marcy Robbins in Canada, Doug and Aaron King, Randy and Everly and Jalen Meck and Chad and his family on Altoona, PA, Daniel and Regiment Newt, Brenda McKenzie, Marie DeMorrow and Emily and their family, Kyle, Yashika and family, Christian Brewster, Martha and family, Anne Marie and family, Nancy Heacock, the Offish, Dan and Fonnie Flanagan, Bob and Shirley Starkey, Jim and Diane McFarland, Judith Lease, Jim and Myra Morris, Steve Janke, Ruben and Evangelina Flores, Stephen Goose, Gabriela Castaneda, Guida Feliz and family, Michael and Glenda in Washington State, Brisa Perez and her family in Argentina, Yvette Reyes and family, Stephen Anuba G.S. Rao Raji, Elias Prakash, his dad and son Justin in India, Killian Lacaverly in France, Judith Diaz and her family in New York, Anne Frisia, Leila D in Austria, Ufbert Lubin Paul in India, Brian and Amy in Houston, Sonia Stewart and her family in Jamaica, Kyle Holland and his family, Francis Morales and family, Rishikesh in India, Ron who goes by Moron, Gene Schneider, Dr. Chow, Marla Mays, Jane Hoffman and her grandson Evan, and thank you again, Jane, Maria Brahman, Delia Meyer and family, Ippolito and Brenda Vinton, Parker and Polly Rose Broadnecks, Roland and his sisters, Leanne Brown in Minnesota, Taylor in Georgia, keep fighting, Taylor, you're winning. Taylor, Elizabeth Campbell, Charles Randy Keenan, Taylor's dad, Randy, and stepmother, Linda Kay, Will Bridges, Brian and his family, Lorraine Chavez, Andrea Perez and family, Trey Marshall in Tennessee, Wayne Laskoski, Elizabeth Kitty and Matty Valatos in Houston, Javier Rodriguez and his mom, Rosalinda and family, Susan Bell in Georgia, Nadia Sahari, Amy Tyndall, Geraldine Douglas and her family in New York, Guy Nelson, Dino, Jan Lynn, Louisa Incantalupo in New York, Omar Rosby in London, Dawn Kaz and Taylor, Beth Denton, Tina Martin, Sherry and Kenneth Smith, and her son Kenny, and Kenneth's brother Bobby Smith, Charlene Leak, Guinevere Kern, John Kincart, Christina and Scott, North Dakota, Ruby Herrera and her family, Rebecca Kohler, Al and Aaron Charnod, Minnesota, Trish and Jamie, Stephanie Ann Stevens and her friend Jody, Todd Smith in New York, Jerry Harper in Pittsburgh battling cancer, Candace C. Carlos and Jasmine and Tamara Jacinta in Canada and Turks and Caicos, True Video, Jeff and Aaron Dennison and family, Travis Ritter, Ava and her friend Derek, Terry Rasser and family in Florida, Fatima and her son Angel, Joe, Dawn, and Joseph in New Mexico, Viola Cleo Bradshaw, Lindy Gessman and Dean in Oregon, Alan Campos Rodriguez, Rick Holzhauser and his wife Joy and family, Carl B. in Atlanta, Blake Irvin, Devin Nicholson, Liz Nakey and Gloria Bloch, Rishikesh in India, Mariah and her family, specifically her brother Richard, who's still battling MS, Billy Blaine and family, Gigi Belmonico and family in Kansas, Debbie Beverly, Audrey Winthrop, Terrence Brewer, Leslie Holman, Allison Atkinson, Hillary Haynes, Josh and his mom Linda, Ken and Deb Lance, Kevin Laskuski, Erica Oplinar in Colorado, Gabrielle and her children, Cindy Pritchard and her family, Susan Fretwell, her children Robert, Sarah, Haley, and grandson Mark, Pia and her son Arthur, Dana Tersigny, Pam and her family, Elijah, Robert, Emmanuel, Aiden, Kira, and Kiri, Robin Prout in California, Roberto, Petra, and Wanda Lara, Sammy and Miranda, Michael Manzi, Amir and Milan, Italy, Shane Crocker, Mrs. Powers, Georgia Anderson and her family and son specifically, Rosemary Buser, Corey Fitzgerald, Travis Bell and family, Millicent in Africa, Steve and Martha, Candace and her mom in LA, Angela Henderson, Sharon Holton, Lisa Tate, Gloria Chapman, Erica Olsterhauser, Jasmine Rickards and family, Leah Rivers and family, Nadine Sitchez and her daughters, Rachel Wallace and family, Larry Reagan and family, Grace O'Brien, Barbara Blendy, Donna McCullum, Stephanie Kotak and her family, Rebecca Dukes, Martina, Gary Brown, Valentina, Miranda Starr, Melinda Starr, and the rest of the family, Miranda's mom, Sandra Philbrick, and her husband Tom, Zach W., Anna Reynolds, Jan Carton, David Caseman, Troy and Shannon Blankenship, Erg Barron, Charlene and Michael, Alaska James and family, C. and Glenda, Julia Hummerkaus, David Kelly and their children, the Johnson, Wigitkin, and Shoup families, Stephen and Sylvia Burris, Joseph, Josh, and Philip, Lisa Covey and her family, Carol Adams, Gabriela Jimenez, Connie Rika, Maddie Rika, and the rest of the family, Cassandra, Rochelle Schreiber, Brandon, Miranda, and Layla Annette, Jen Colley, Yvonne Ranke, L.R. Johnny, Johnny and John, Johnny and Alexandra, Jim Da Vinci, Jim Marinos, Joseph Machisi, Terry, Ken, Lisa Bolo and Lisa, Lois Francis, William Sanders, John Canton family, Allie Kites and family, Destiny Taylor and family, Dawn Morano, Terry Sanford, her son Dylan and her partner David, Darby Volk, Adrienne Faulkner, Jamie Contreras and family, Gus Apostolo, Jordy Ragland and family, Glory Nyack and family, Ann Burns, Brandon Hance, Dan and Linda Hill, the Kulik family, Linda Nichols and her son Matthew, John D. Romine, Sherry Abbas, Josh and Ryan Gabor, Mary Ann Ice and her friend Abby Marie, Mary Taylor and her family, Aaron St. James, Scotty Roberts, Esso Jenna, Todd Nicole Parks, Pamela Cervalos, Dudley, Donna and Adam Vall, Joseph Wetterman, Mary Rose and Valerie, Brent and Kim Washington and their daughter Oakley, Missy B. and family, Brian Ross, Joel Johnson, John Martinez, Arslan Khan, Zach Hess, Lisa Lubano and her children Nina, Adam, and Dean, Tina Wade and her son Kevin Quorum, Jessica and family, Beverly Hackett, Alexander Burns, Randall Gay, Anthony Julian Santos, Rachel in Hawaii and her daughter Kelia Stone. They got hit hard over there, and we continue to pray for Rachel and her family and the people in Hawaii that were hit by those terrible storms. Kurt Landgraf, Janice Hutchinson and family, Cause Fitzgerald, Destiny Markham and family, Dan and Pam Hartman, Michelle Caffey and her family, Marcella and Todd and their family, Tracy Keenan, Ariane and family, Sherry and family, and her mom Carol, El Laparia and family, Barbara Harper, Michael G., Jesse J. and family, Miguel Sortini, Kay Dean and her mom Carol, David Hatcher and family, Rachel McJonadoe, Melissa Simpson, cancer, Chester Holland, Chester's your number one fan, that's for sure. Chester Holland and Whitney Best and all the family. Shepard Clark, Sierra Ali, Navita Seen, Francesca San Giorgio, Humberto Robb in Australia, Penelope Sud, Terry Colley and family, Jay Everson and his wife, Sabrina Gatson, Barbara Morris, Javier Rodriguez and his daughter Rowena, Sanaya Shazad, Alvin Halpide, Jennifer Puvler, Rob Holly and their family, Dana D, Joanne Brown, Gary and Patty Viola and their family, Vicky Mickelson, Rebecca Kozak, Victor Clark, Darlene and Laderia McKinley, Demarius Wilson, Steve Wilson, Tyra Villadiego, Nita Jackson Heath and family, Keith Age and his wife Robin. They are still recovering from Keith had a stroke and Robin had pancreatitis. Jose and Irina Aravello and their children, Samantha Raymond and family, Joan and Barbara, Kathy Perez and son Alex Hamilton, Edwin W. Moore, Cindy Stein, and we continue to pray for Amanda and her family as well. Happy birthdays to G. Salazar and DJ. Much love and many blessings and happy birthday. And I want to thank all of you from the bottom of my heart for all of your cards and letters and your gifts and your donations and mostly your prayers. May God bless you many, many times over for giving with a glad heart and for your kindness. So that's going to do it for this week. Des, I'm so glad that you were here. Hopefully you'll be back here next week.
Yes, hopefully.
All
yes.
right.
No, it's been a blessing. Yes, thank you so much. And hallelujah. Oh, it's been very good. It's been so good to see you, brother. And absolutely. Thank you.
So you'll be back next week and we'll cover some other interesting topics and we'll discuss the upcoming book signing that is next week. But again, if you're out there and you're interested, I will be on with Dave Weigert and now Josh Bell. I didn't know about that. So that's a pleasant surprise. So I'll be on that podcast tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern. So that's going to do it for this week. I'll take us out with our Warrior Mode song by Dave Weigert. And Des, thank you so much for being here. And I pray that you're here next week and that we'll have a lot to talk about again.
We will. Me too.
All right.
Me too. It's awesome. Thank you so much. Yes, Warrior Mode. Faith, strength, courage.
You got that right. And we do it. And look, we always find our way back. So we might talk about some topics that circle around a little bit and they can people think, oh, well, what is this? Well, there's a reason for it. There's a reason for the discussion. There's a reason for the dialogue, and it always circles back to faith. So sometimes we take the long way around in getting back in that circle to faith, but we do it week in and week out, and we'll continue to do it week in and week out. So thank you so much, Des. Love you dearly, and God bless you. And we'll see you next week. And that's really about it. I'm Bill Bean, the Spiritual Warrior. It's been so great having you and Anita and Chris always, and then Josh Bell tonight. It's really been wonderful. And so we'll do it again soon. And hopefully Josh will come back and will join us as much as he's welcome anytime. So it's always great to have him to be a part of the dialogue.
Yeah, it really was. Yeah, we could really chop it. We could really break bread and talk a lot and
we covered a lot of ground.
Yeah, we could talk a lot. Yes. And so
we circled right back to where we needed to be. It starts with God and it ends with God.
Hallelujah. Make God first. Always.
That's it. All right, Des. We'll see you next week.
See you next.
Okay, so it was a great night, and I hope that you guys feel the same way. And we're looking forward to next week. So that's going to do it for this week. I'm Bill Bean, the Spiritual Warrior. Much love and many blessings. And we'll come back here 11 p.m. Eastern next Friday night and do it all over again. So have a wonderful week. Have a great and blessed Sabbath day, and then start the week fresh and new on Sunday and be blessed and be a blessing. So again, I'm Bill Bean, the Spiritual Warrior. This has been Warrior Mode. And I didn't play, I played the advertisement at the beginning, and you didn't hear it because it was my mistake on that tonight. So we'll play the advertisement here, and then I'll take us out with Dave Weigert's Warrior Mode song. So good night, everybody, and God bless. Hi, this is Reverend Bill Bean, the Spiritual Warrior, and I'm excited to announce the upcoming release of my 13th book called The Bean Files. This is the book that I've held off on writing for quite a while. I was content to have ended my writing career at 12 books, but there is so much more to my story that has to be told and shared. It's hard to fathom that I have had so many supernatural experiences throughout my lifetime. I've seen and experienced just about anything that a person can imagine and then some, from having interactions with angels and demons to witnessing demonic possession, along with performing exorcism for many people from all over the world. I've seen aliens, Bigfoot, Men in Black. I have experienced alien abduction as well. I have been monitored by black copters. I'm also a targeted individual and a person of interest, along with having been in many life-threatening situations throughout my lifetime. I'm going to cover many of those experiences in this book. Also included in the book are some stunning images of what I believe to be angels, demons, aliens, and UFOs. Most of these images were either taken by me or of me. If you follow me and have read some of my books, then you know that I believe all this supernatural phenomena is connected in some way. I believe that there's something present with us just outside of our perception, as if an entirely different world is taking place around us, though we can't completely sense it at the same time. Perhaps that world crosses into our existence once in a while. I can only speculate on this because no one knows for sure. What I can tell you for certain is that I have been selected to live partly in the supernatural world for some reason. So get your copy of the Bean Files and be prepared for quite a journey. Thank you very much.
I am a spiritual warrior, and I make God first and always first. If I fall down 1,000 times, I get back up 1,000 times. That's warrior mode. Faith, strength, courage. I declare victory in this new day. Father, I praise you for this day. I declare that no weapon formed against me shall prosper. I declare perfect health in mind, body, and spirit. I declare to be a blessing to others. I declare to have power and authority over all evil and negativity. Make Yahweh first. Follow the path and teachings of Jesus. Warrior mode. Build your faith. Forgive if I